John Glenn is called for a delay of game, and it's now 1st and 15. The Bay City team now unleashes their running attack. It's Big Ben Orr, 6'2", 200-pound running back, getting about 7 on the play. With the Big Reds leading 20-0, it's Flugel with the call. Flugel is near midfield. Nothing fancy again for John Glenn as a wingback. In motion, Flugel gets the call, and he's very close to another first down. It's 4th down and a yard for Bay City. Same play, and Flugel gets the first down. John Glenn desperately needing a touchdown now in the waning moments of the first half. They trail by 3 big TDs. Flugel straight ahead, brought down by linebacker Reuben Townsend. 2nd and long. And back to pass is Miller. He looks downfield. He's got a receiver right open. He just gently lofts the ball over the linebacker on the left side. Andre Burks complete for a big first down completion, and John Glenn once again threatens to score. Right up the middle they go, and John Glenn moves a little bit closer to that Big Red goal line. Second back through is nailed by who else? Willie Wilson. The Muskegon defense begins to tighten up down here. Quarterback Mark Miller gives right up the middle for about 3 yards. This time, Bay City John Glenn, a couple of plays later, is down inside the 15-yard line. They send a man in motion to the right, but Miller goes right up the middle of Flugel, and he gets little yardage. But he did pick up enough running room to pick up another big first down. At 1st down and 10, just outside the Big Red 10-yard line. Up the middle, the big fullback gets a couple of tough, hard-earned yards. It appears here as if John Glenn is wearing down the Big Red defense. The Big Reds have been on that field on the defensive side for a long time on this series. Flugel gets the call. He's down near the 5-yard line. Another big play coming up for both sides. Flugel goes in motion. Back to pass is Miller. He tries a throw over the middle to his back. It's Flugel dropping the ball at about the 1-yard line. It's now 4th down. Miller will have to go to the air. Back to pass. He's being chased out of the pocket, and stripping him of the football is a little nose guard, Dion Irvin, and Muskegon dodges a bullet, and they'll take over the football with little time remaining in the first half. Dave Taylor considers the best nose guard in Western Michigan, Dion Irvin. They give us the big par for Willie Wilson, the Big Reds, trying to chew up the clock. Better than 8,000 fans pack Ackley Stadium, and they watch Willie Wilson give on an inside little counter play to Eddie Brown, and Eddie Brown has some running room. He's across the 40 to the 43-yard line, but the Big Reds were guilty of a clip on this play. The Big Reds now on 3rd down and long, way back inside their 25-yard line, try a little bit of razzle-dazzle of their own. They give to Eddie Brown on a halfback pass, and he throws downfield, fortunately out of bounds, as Bay City John Glenn was alert on the play. Crisscross in the punt, and he gets rid of a typical crisscross punt, a routine one of about 47 yards, and John Glenn will take over deep in their own territory. Look at the pursuit of the Big Red punt defense team. Miller again trying to get John Glenn back into the lineup. Throws over the middle. It's caught by his tight end, but for very little yardage. 2nd down now and 6 yards to go for John Glenn of Bay City. Right up the middle they go. And they get a couple of yards with a quarterback Mark Miller on the keeper. Bay City now with seemingly a lot of time on their hands. Back to pass. Miller throwing long. This is in the second half. His pass is picked off by Elliott Cunningham. And Cunningham, with a nice spinning move, gets all the way out near midfield. The Big Reds now in control, 20-0. They give it to Eddie Brown. Eddie to 35 to 30. Watch this move by Eddie Brown. He's going to go all the way. He breaks a tackle the 15-yard line, and the All-Stater showing his credentials right there gives Muskegon an invincible 26-0 lead. They're really happy once again at Hackley Stadium. This was going to be the last regular season game on the old historic turf that has seen football at Muskegon High School for so many, many years. The two-pointer is no good, but this game is long over with right now with a Big Red defense out on the field. Once again, another sample of that great specialty team work of the Big Reds. Bay City, however, would like to avert a shutout. They're trying to get something going. They give it to Flugel. And Flugel, who ran for better than 100 yards on the afternoon, the only team to get 100 yards on the Big Reds all season long, was the same Bay City John Glenn team. Back to passes Miller. Being rushed. He ducks as Andre Burke blitzes from his linebacking position. Another big loss for Bay City. Miller back to pass, throws one downfield. It's caught by Flugel, and Flugel is down to the Big Red 16-yard line. They're knocking on the door. There's a pass intercepted and dropped by Donald Banks, and Donald pounds his fist in frustration on the turf at Hackley Stadium. He had a sure 6 points. It really mattered little as the Big Reds had a commanding lead. Miller tries to throw downfield. He's got a man wide open in the end zone, but he drops the football. The Big Reds still wanting the shutout. Miller goes back to pass, being pressured by Little, Reggie Moore, and the winner of the Hustler Award comes up with a big sack. And Muskegon will preserve their shutout. The Big Reds will run out the clock. They give it to Eddie Brown, who gets about 4 yards. The gun sounds at historic old Hackley, and Muskegon is now 3 victories away from winning a state championship. Coaches Dave Taylor on the left, Steve Wilson on the right, and they're trailed by the old ball boy, my son Paul Moyes, in the background, as they'll celebrate and now look forward to their next playoff battle with a very tough Jenison Wildcat team over at Grand Valley Stadium. Prior to their battle with Jenison for the regional championship, the Big Reds coaching staff unveiled the Smurfs. While in preparation for their previous week game against Bay City Glen, Muskegon felt they had to come up with some kind of a player to impersonate Glen's outstanding nose guard. Muskegon turned to the ace of their specialty team. His name, number 11, Anthony Watkins. Throughout the entire week of practice, the Big Reds had little success in blocking the 5'4", 135-pound Mighty Mite. The staff felt if we can't block him, then perhaps the opponent may not be able to as well. What a decision that turned out to be. Perhaps a key move on their road to the Dome. Muskegon had now turned their defense over to 5 down linemen that would forever be known throughout the state as the Smurfs. At the ends were Clayton Kimmerling at 5'11" and 100, elected by his mates and coaching staff as the Big Reds' most valuable defensive lineman. The other end was Reggie Moore, winner of the Hustle Award at 5'6" and 145 pounds. The tackles were sophomore Reuben Townsend at 185 and junior Dion Irvin at 150 that complement little Anthony at the nose. That also gave the Big Reds the opportunity to rest the likes of Chris Cross and Cedric Brown, who before had to go both ways in the trenches. Down in the field as we start the game against Jenison, you see Larry Williams going way up the middle a couple of times for some great yardage after breaking some tackles, and Rodney Burks comes back with a long pass play to Eddie Brown, and Jenison takes over for the first time in the ball game, and immediately the Big Reds defense creates a turnover. It's Andre Burks on the interception for the Big Reds. Muskegon has done it again on defense. Still, the Smurfs did not come into the ball game, but you'll see them shortly. Muskegon trying to get on the attack. They fake the inside reverse. Instead, Willie Wilson keeps. He goes all the way down inside the 5-yard line to set up the next play, which would result in the Big Reds touchdown run of Eddie Brown of 3 yards. Burks now will pitch wide to Eddie, or a handoff to Eddie Brown, and behind some great blocking on the right side, he easily carries into the end zone, and Muskegon draws first blood in the regional championship contest with Jenison, 6-0, as the Muskegon Big Red Marching Band plays on in the background. On the Allen Poynton two-pointer, Rodney Burks back to pass. His pass is deflected at the line of scrimmage, but lo and behold, luckily for the Big Reds, it goes right into the hands of Jeff Brown. The Big Reds will now kick off to the Jenison Wildcats, and once again, it's a specialty teams coming through with a big hit at the 35-yard line. Jenison Wildcats will take over first down and 10. We're now into the second period. There's a little pop pass over the middle. It's complete. One of the few gains the Wildcats had in the entire first half of play. Muskegon's defense holds. Muskegon now needing to get on the board. Rodney Burks pitches to Eddie Brown, but he bobbles the ball, and boy is he hit. Fortunately for Muskegon, Eddie Brown hung on to the football. The Big Reds with third and long yardage and protecting an 8-0 lead will play it safe here. Rodney Burks gives it a little draw to Eddie Brown. He hangs on to the football, and now they're going to count on Chris Cross to come in and punt the football. Cross is back in punt formation. He hasn't had a punt blocked all year. Another perfect snap from his center, all the way down deep into Jenison territory, and there once again the specialty teams of Muskegon doing their job. Jenison on the attack. They give up the middle. There's a hit by Willie Wilson, and Donald Banks has come up with a fumble recovery. The Big Reds stop him again, and look who's in there. The Mighty Mites have entered the action for Muskegon on defense.
Take over, first and 10 from the 39-yard line.
Muskegon now will go to the air. Rodney Burks drops back to pass. Look at the protection. He throws it long downfield to Willie Wilson, who comes back to make the grab. In Wildcat territory at the 25-yard line. Muskegon again, knocking on the doorstep of Jenison. Burks again will go to the air. Look at the protection once again. He throws a long ball into the end zone. It's complete for a touchdown to Jeff Brown. Muskegon now up front, 14-0. Much of the credit, though, has to go to that forward wall of Muskegon's offensive line. Pat Abraham, Cross. Also in there for the Muskegon Big Reds, it's Clayton Kimmerling, Cedric Brown. Muskegon now will go for the two-pointer. Rodney Burks rolls to his right. He's got a man open in the flat, but it doesn't go anywhere. But Andre Burks is grabbed by the face mask, and Muskegon will get another opportunity. Also in there blocking for Muskegon, it's Cedric Brown's brother, Jeff Brown. Bromley at one of the tackles, along with Donald Banks at the other end. Muskegon does not get the two-pointer, and they'll have to give up the football. Again, look at the Mighty Mites come in there. That's a number 11, Anthony Watkins and Reggie Moore, teaming up to make the sack. One a many against Jenison quarterbacks, Dave Woodstock. There's a punt partially blocked. Willie Wilson wisely picks it up, and he moves it all the way down deep into Jenison territory. But the Big Reds have precious few seconds to get on the board as we're nearing the end of the first half of play. Muskegon lining up out of the right, out of the eye right. Willie Wilson in motion. Back to pass is Burks. Throws one downfield. It's caught by Jeff Braun, but a flag is thrown at the same time, and they'll bring it back.
From the 26-yard line.
Burks will go to the air, but a little bit of miscommunication between Rodney Burks and his receiver, Willie Wilson, results in an incompleted pass, and the halftime expires with Muskegon leading 14-0. Again, the specialty teams doing their job on the opening kickoff of the second half. Jenison deep in their own territory. There's little Dion Irvin knifing in from his defensive tackle position to make a big defensive play for the Big Reds. Jenison has been unable to move the football. Back to pass is Woodcock, being pressured by Watkins. He releases a little bit early, and Andre Burks comes up with his second interception of the afternoon. Muskegon is in great field position once again, but they've only been able to punch the ball in the end zone 2 times all afternoon, despite this great field position. Rodney Burks gets some instructions from his head coach, Dave Taylor, but the Big Reds are unable to move the football. Jenison again on the attack. Woodcock is sacked by Anthony Watkins once again, and Dion Irvin and Reggie Moore. This was the same sequence of drives, believe it or not, that Jenison marched all the way downfield to score a touchdown, despite the fact at one time they were faced with a 3rd down and 37 yards to go. There's Watkins again with another sack. Also in there, Reuben Townsend. Jenison now after some costly Big Red penalties. Quarterback Dave Woodcock goes down to the 3-yard line. It's going to be 4th down and goal to go for Jenison. Jenison needing a 1st down or a touchdown right here. They give to the fullback. He's hit by Willie Wilson, but he fumbles the ball into the end zone, and Jenison recovers. That's the only touchdown allotted by the defense of the Muskegon Big Reds throughout the entire playoffs. 1 touchdown in 4 games, and that coming on a fumble. What a defensive performance they would put on. Jenison, confused on the extra point conversion attempt, is called for a delay of the game. They'll have to do it again. Quarterback Dave Woodcock rolls to his right, evading the Muskegon rush. He's got a receiver open in the end zone, but it's dropped, and Muskegon continues to lead 14-8 with 7 seconds left to be played in the 3rd quarter. Look at this hit on the Big Red as we start the next sequence of events. Fortunately for Muskegon, Jenison was offside on the kickoff, and they'll have to kick off over again. It was a cold and blustery day at Grand Valley Stadium, the biggest crowd in Grand Valley history. Nearly 6,000 strong over Spill, the seating capacity at Grand Valley's field. The Muskegon Big Reds committed very few turnovers in the ball game, as opposed to 7 for the Wildcats, as Woodcock goes back to pass. And he is being sacked once again. The little Mighty Mite on the left side of the line, Reggie Moore, makes a defensive play. And to add to the miseries and the woes of Jenison Wildcats, they're also guilty of a holding penalty on the play. Jenison now will want to throw long from their own 20-yard line. Woodcock gets a snap, back to pass, wants to air it out. He throws into heavy defensive traffic, and it's intercepted by Muskegon's Eddie Brown. inside the 45-yard line. In Big Red territory, Muskegon will take over, and again they stop Jenison.
First and 10.
Muskegon now wanting to hang on to the football. They're playing it safe. They're trying to chew up the clock and preserve the 14-6 lead. However, Rodney Burks with a little trouble. He's got that football out for grabs. It's fumbled on the play, but Muskegon, I believe that's Willie Wilson, coming up with a big fumble recovery at Muskegon's 41-yard line.
Fumble on the play recovered by Muskegon.
Little time now remains in the ball game. It's going to be up again. Little Smurf defense. Ward off Jenison. Woodcock back to pass. Nobody blocks Reggie Moore. Another sack for the Big Reds. Caton Cunningham from his defensive left end, also in there in a hurry. Reuben Townsend, Deion Irvin, and Anthony Watkins. The five-man defensive line did their job. The Big Red will eat up the clock. Rodney Burks will kneel down at his own 45-yard line, and that would prove to be the last play of the ball game as the Muskegon Big Reds have won the regional championship 14-6 over Jenison's previously undefeated Wildcats, and it's off to the state semifinals, Glenn Atwood Stadium against Westland John Glenn.
have contributed to the success of the Big Red Marching Band this season. Long, hard hours are put in by directors, students, and parents alike. On behalf of the directors, Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Miller, Mr. Hayward, and Mr. Nucky, a heartfelt thanks goes to each student in the band as they show the fortitude and maturity to get the job done and done well, and to their parents who back them all the way. We also thank the people of Muskegon for the countless ways they've shown their support all season. The applause you give and the knowledge you suggest to give. This is the voice of the Big Red Band, and your host this afternoon. Thank you for coming and listening to this great band. Thank you, Big Red.
Next up, the Class A title game, which matched powerhouses Muskegon from the west side and Sterling Heights Stevenson from the east. Muskegon's rugged defense made its presence felt on the first play from scrimmage as the Big Reds stack up the Sterling Heights runner, force a fumble, and Reggie Moore recovers. But Sterling Heights didn't get this far without a great defense of its own, which is proven on this interception by Larry Gonawicha. The Titans are pushed back by the Big Reds defense, but watch this great catch by Sterling Heights' Marty Campbell. Jeff Chadwick would have been proud of that one. The game remains a defensive struggle with no score in the second quarter. Muskegon's Rodney Burks goes back to pass,